Hello, my friends. I am at my kitchen table, which means it is another monthly wrap up. This is the April monthly wrap up. And this month was weird because I was really distracted at times. I borrowed the hotspot from the library too much this last month. And at times I felt like I wasn't reading much. And at times I felt like I wasn't enjoying what I was reading. But after the month was over, I realized it was a decent month. Like I'm just being too hard on myself. But I did waste a lot of time in this last month that I could have spent reading. So let's get to what I read and how much I read. So I read 6 novels during the month of April, and I liked a lot of them. The first one I read was The Mountain in the Sea by Ray Naylor. This was fabulous. I nominated this as a Hugo Award for a novel, and this is about um, the study of octopi and how they can become a new species because of their high intellect. And this woman goes to study them and realizes, oh wow, these octopi, they actually are communicating, and they are communicating with humans as well. And what's interesting about this is that she had a helper who was an artificial intelligence, the smartest in the world. And then there was a woman who used to be in like the military that controlled the drones that protected the island. But there was also these split stories, these stories that were kind of disturbing. People were slaves in this ship that went around the seas and was controlled by artificial intelligence. And all they did was fish all day. And it was about this one character on that fishing boat and how he was trying to figure out a way to overthrow the AI fishing boat. Crazy stuff. And then there was another side story about this hacker who was trying to hack into this artificial intelligence and take it over. It was a very complex and very thought-provoking novel that I highly recommend if you're into like artificial intelligence, what it means to be human, what it means to have a consciousness, what it means to think and be a free thinking individual. I thought it was really fabulous. There was these quotes and excerpts from these fictional books before the chapters that actually added a lot to the book. Usually those type of things I don't really care for, but in this book, spot on. I love that. Um, Definitely highly recommend that. Now on the opposite side, I read Joe Abercrombie's Best Served Cold. And this is when my reading started to slow down during the month. This was probably around the first to second week of April. And I struggled with this. The plot just wasn't very interesting. There's a woman who was left for dead, who was betrayed, and now she wants revenge on the 7 people that tried to kill her. And nothing really interesting happened. She does meet these really uh, eclectic group of people that she brings in as her crew, but it just wasn't very inspired. Nothing really surprised me, nothing shocked me, and it was kind of like by the numbers revenge book, and it just wasn't my favorite Joe Abercrombie book. I read Lone Women by Victor Laval. It came out in 2023, and I really like that one. It is a Western horror mashup. This black woman called Adelaide is leaving California, and she's going to Montana to become a homesteader. And she has this mysterious trunk with her. We don't know what's inside that trunk, but if she opens the trunk, people start dying. So, what's going on? What's the mystery here? The interesting thing about this book was how Adelaide and other women survived and cultivated this very unforgiving land in Montana, and how important it is to have like a society and a group of people that you can uh, meld with and share similar values with. I thought it was a very interesting book. I read Verity by Colleen Hoover, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It was a decent thriller, and it held my attention. And I read it all in one day, so I did enjoy it. However, the sex was like ridiculously over the top. Um, but the thriller aspects, it was good. Like it was good. I enjoyed it. I gave it a low rating, but honestly, I read the whole thing in a day, so it kept my interest. I enjoyed my day that day. Looking back on it, that was a great day. On that day, I finished Lone Women in the morning, and then I read Verity throughout the whole afternoon because it was a weekend, and it was a great day. So I can't be too critical of it because I had a great time reading it. I finished TRESS of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson and enjoyed that. It was very whimsical about a young woman that is sailing the seas, but they're not actually seas. They're different types of spores. And when the spores come into contact with water, it releases these really crazy properties in the spores. And she is trying to find the love of her life, Charlie, who got kidnapped by this sorceress, and it's very lighthearted, very fairy tale esque. It kind of reminded me of the Fractures fairy tales that Tor.com put out, and I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and I would recommend it to people that really don't like Brandon Sanderson, but would want a whimsical, fun book to read. I thought it was fun, and I enjoyed it. Then I read a fiction book called Dear Edward by Anne Napolitano, and it was about a young boy who survived a plane crash and uh, his struggle with coming to terms that his family died and that he was the only survivor. He ends up making this amazing friend named Shay, and they have this really touching friendship. But the highlight of the book is the backstories and the characteristics, the motivations of all the people that were on the flight. You get to know about probably a dozen people and who they are, what type of personalities they have, what they think. And I really enjoyed that about that book. So I only read one nonfiction book, and that was Think Again by Adam M. Grant. And it's all about accepting the nuance and the complexity in very difficult conversations and divisive topics. And I thought it was fabulous how he tried to persuade us to really think about the opposing side's viewpoints and how that could change our views or even strengthen our views at times, and how we can talk to people in a way that allows us to then change their minds too. I thought it was really good. I read 19 short stories, and most of them came from fantasy and science fiction, the March and April issue. And there was a few stories from Uncanny 50 that I finished up. My favorite stories from the fantasy and science fiction issue were Mr. Cat by Eleanor Arneson, Piggyback Girl by M.H. Andy, which I really enjoyed. It was all about social media and the ability for viewers to actually go into the person and view their life and experience that person's life. So creepy, very good. And then there was one called The Subway Algorithm is Half Constructed by Merrick Bibbert, and it is about these young adults in college, it might have been graduate school, and they were working on their thesis, and they had this interesting relationship with each other. And it's about artificial intelligence. It's about using technology to suppress your personality a little bit and change your personality. And I thought that was really good. I read 4 graphic works, Chainsaw Man Volume 1. Really enjoyed that. Great start to a series, though it is a little immature. Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, the first volume of that. I didn't really care for that. I didn't really understand what was going on. I didn't really care for it. Spy Family Volume 9, fantastic. It ended the arc with them on the cruise ship, and I thought it was fantastic. And then the story with Becky trying to impress Lloyd was very funny. And then School Trip by Jerry Craft. That was fabulous. Love Jerry Craft's works. School Trip made me view the experiences of people of color in a different way, especially when they go to another country. So the kids all went to Paris, France. And the standout portion of this book was when one of the kids said that they felt invisible in France, but invisible in a good way. And I had to really think about that because it would be very difficult to live in America and be prejudged based off your skin color of your actions and your criminal activity. And it was very interesting. I really like that. Cherry Crafts brings out race relations in a way in middle school work that makes me really think about it weeks after I've read it. So for 2023, that brings my total of novels to 19, the total number of nonfiction books to 9, short stories to 95, and graphic works to 9. Did not read any novellas this last month, and I did not read any middle grade or young adult books this last month. I definitely have some novellas on stack and prepared for the month of May. So let me know what your favorite thing was during the month of April and how your month went. My month was good, but like I said, it could have been better. I wish I would have read more short stories. I feel like I'm never going to ever catch up with short story magazines. I don't think it's even possible. So I'll talk to you all in my next video. Have a great month, and I hope you had a great April. See you later.